Poetry.
So the poetry itself, I actually got like inspiration from the Matthew McConaughey book, which I highly recommend
Is that
people.
Green Light?
Green Lights, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm not much of a reader, but the audiobook, he actually talks in the audiobook, and it's fantastic. And he writes a lot of poetry. But the actual reason why I did the poetry was I'm doing something once a month that makes me uncomfortable, and I've been doing that since the start of 2019. So a long time, 2.5
That's
years
awesome,
now.
dude.
I've done some pretty crazy stuff like public reading, something I struggle with. Started ballet, months without technology, numerous other things.
Really?
And it's been fantastic. Yeah. And through that, like the growth has been like exceptional. And anyone who's on like that self-improvement like a journey, like really knows that like the more you can put yourself in uncomfortable situations, like the more you're going to grow. So yeah, it'd be something that I do for a long time, I reckon.
Is there one thing you reckon that's like one activity that during the month that's provided just an exponential amount of growth than any other thing?
They all have different things. Like I sang karaoke and took it full serious. Wasn't a piss take, because I knew I could go in there. Like I'm pretty confident. I would go in there and I could laugh and joke around and people would laugh. But I decided to go in there. I sang Chris Brown "With You" track. Absolute track. Yeah, and then I had to. I full took it seriously, and I can't sing at all. So that was really hard. Probably the hardest was the public reading. That was really tough. I felt like I could run through a wall after that. Like the adrenaline was
really.
So
that's fantastic.
With that, like, are you going out to the shops and is reading? Like, what was that activity?
Yeah, so that was a tough. I was actually at the Australian Institute of Sport, and I said to my teammates, Caitlin Parker was with me, and I said, I'm just going to walk into any room that has people and just hijack the meeting.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was bad, man. It was bad. And I walk in, the worst thing was I walk in, right, and I just hijacked the meeting. I said, I'm only going to take like 5 minutes of your time. This is what I'm doing. This is why I'm doing it. And I look up and there's just all blokes in the room. I'm like, oh man, of course. And it turns out later, I public read and it was really nerve wracking. I stumbled a few times, but it turns out that group was just army recruits. So of all people, like the most blokey bloke. Mate, it was like really tough. And like sometimes like when I was mucking up throughout my reading, like I look up and some of the boys were like laughing and stuff. So it made it really hard. But like
the fact that you went and did that, man, that takes huge balls. I think honestly, for men to turn around and say, I'm not where I want to be, let's push it to the nth degree. Let's go full mental. We'll try anything and everything that comes at us. I think that is a blokey bloke. I mean, hell, what is a blokey bloke?
Yeah.
I just think that it takes some big nuts, dude. It takes some massive nuts. I'm surprised you're even able to walk, let alone box, dude. They must be that heavy. But dude, yeah, hats off to you. That's cool. That's really cool.
Have you noticed like an improvement in the way you approach boxing since you've started this self-improvement journey? Because I imagine like putting yourself in all these uncomfortable positions, it would just make you more comfortable when you're like approaching a fight and everything. Is that what you found?
150%, man. I also think that comes with like maturity. So I started boxing when I was 9, and my first international tournament was 2015. So like it's been the last few years. Obviously at the start I was really nervous. Like my first international tournament, I drew England, the Youth Commonwealth Games, and he was like the best in the division, and I crumbled under pressure in a sense because I was like, oh my God, like I beat myself before I even got in the ring in a sense. It's like now I go to competitions and it's like Cuba's the best in my weight. I want to go to the Olympics, right? I want to draw Cuba first up. You know what I mean? Like that's the attitude. That's where it's changed. That's the growth. Yeah, that's where the growth is. And I think it's through things like that, the uncomfortable things, but also through maturity as a human. So yeah, it's on a weird journey.
If you're listening right now, we're giving away a 120 AED gift card to the first listener to DM our Instagram at Outspoken Show, Harry for Gold. Make sure you come back to the program and hear what's next. Wow, that's so cool though, because like before the fight now, do you feel like there's a change, or is it I've been here before, I know what I'm doing, I know what this is like?
Yeah, in a sense, man. So we did this through the uncomfortable thing that I was just talking about. We actually learned this through the Gold Medal Ready program, which is a program that the AIS, the Australian Institute of Sport, started. So it was after Rio. There was like we didn't have that much success in Rio as a country, and they looked at starting this initiative to sort of like build us and put us under really stressful situations with the Commando Regiment, which is like something that I've always wanted to do. So the Australian Army. And the biggest thing I took from it was get comfortable being uncomfortable. And through that whole journey with the Commando Regiment, Gold Medal alumni, I really learned like the stress responses that our body feels in high stress situations, like that fight or flight. And it's like when you don't actually know why you feel that. So like before a running race, you all remember when you're younger, like that feeling in your gut, and you're like, it almost throws you off. It's like a natural response to what we're doing. And then once I got awareness of that, like every time I feel those things, like I almost embrace them more. I feel them more because I'm like, this is just how I'm supposed to feel right now, which is a great thing. Like, and before I didn't know that, like I was like really terrified of feeling those things, but it's just all part of it. And I think if athletes can like feel that and like accept it, then I think they can perform, which is great.
100%.
Yeah, that's.
I was gonna. What were you gonna say?
No, I was just going to say that's sort of what I was talking about with you guys the other night. Harry, I've started going to the gym more, lifting weights more, and when I've been hitting PRs, dude, I start feeling that butterfly sensation, like you were saying. And dude, I've realized that's why I go back to the gym week in, week out, is because I love that weird feeling of like, oh fuck, can I actually do this? Yeah, it's addictive.
I love
man.
it.
Yeah. Well, another guy, like an audiobook that I was listening to, Ross Edgley. He was he's done the longest concurrent swim. He swam around the United Kingdom, including Scotland and Ireland. And he talked about that fight and flight mode because it creates this such like visceral reaction in your body. It's so taxing, especially in an endurance sport where like it's very bad on your overall body's health, where he really needs it because it's like a 6-month journey for him. And he started like as part of his preparation swimming with sharks. So just by just putting his hand in the same tank with a shark, just to like get used. And they're trained sharks. It's not like you might lose your hand this time, but it's just getting used to being comfortable with sharks in the ocean, because when you're swimming around the sharks in the ocean. Like,
trained shark is still a shark though.
Yeah,
Jesus, I would still be worried.
But that was the training though, just so that fight and flight response doesn't exist, and it doesn't spark like any sort of crazy reaction.
The
in
anxiety and stuff's not there. Because I guess, like Harry was saying, you still want the fight or flight scenario. You still want the adrenaline. You still want that.
But you want it to be on your
booster.
terms.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
you just don't want the anxiety side of things.
Yeah.
Honestly,
I think when you don't have awareness when you don't have awareness of it, and you start feeling all these tensions in your muscles and your bowels are moving and your body's aching in a sense. If you think of it look at it like that, of course it's going to throw you off.
That's such an awesome initiative. From Australia to do.
It's fantastic, mate. I loved it. Honestly, loved it. I took so much out of it. And when I win that gold medal, mate, that'll be like one of the things that I thank